You know what's weird? We say we're afraid of the dark, but that's not actually true. Think about it for a second. Darkness is just the absence of light, right? Nothing more than photons taking the night off. So why does your heart start racing when you turn off the bedroom light? Why do you rush through that dark hallway a little faster than you'd like to admit? Here on Briefly Science, we're gonna unpack one of humanity's oldest fears. And trust me, the real answer is way more fascinating than you think. Because here's the thing, you're not afraid of the dark itself. You're afraid of not being alone in it. Let's rewind about 2 million years. Picture the African savanna at twilight. The sun's setting, painting everything in shades of orange and red, and our ancestor, let's call him Bob, is trying to make it back to his sleeping spot. Bob's not exactly what you'd call a badass apex predator. He's more like, well, he's basically a walking snack bar for anything with teeth and ambition. See, Bob's a homo habilis. He's got some stone tools, sure, and he can crack open bones to get at the marrow inside. Pretty clever stuff. But here's what Bob doesn't have. Night vision, sharp claws, powerful jaws, or really any biological equipment that would help him survive once the lights go out. What Bob does have is a very reasonable fear that something with much better night vision might be watching him. And Bob's fear, completely justified. Recent studies using AI analysis of ancient fossils, yeah, we're doing detective work on 2-million-year-old bones now, revealed something pretty unsettling. Researchers examined tooth marks on Homo habilis remains and discovered that leopards were actively hunting and eating our early ancestors, not scavenging their remains, hunting them. The tooth pits matched leopard patterns with over 95% probability. One skull had gnaw marks on the back of the head and a chewed-up finger, suggesting this individual literally had their face in a leopard's mouth. So much for being the mighty hunter, right? But leopards weren't the only problem. The fossil record tells us that early humans were on the menu for saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, crocodiles, even massive birds of prey. During the Pleistocene, our ancestors shared the landscape with Smilodon. You know it as the saber-toothed tiger, which weighed up to half a ton. These ambush predators would drag prey to secure locations for consumption. Sound familiar? That's exactly what modern big cats still do. And here's the kicker. Most of these predators were nocturnal. They hunted at night. Let's zoom in on the fundamental problem our ancestors faced. Human vision at night is, honestly, pretty terrible. I mean, really bad. We've got these specialized light-detecting cells in our retinas called rods and cones. Cones handle color and detail during the day. Rods take over when it gets dark. Sounds good, right? Except we don't have nearly enough rods compared to actual nocturnal predators. Cats have 6 times more rod cells per square millimeter than humans. Tigers can see about 6 times better in the dark than we can. Owls? They can detect prey in light levels up to 100 times dimmer than what we need. Plus, nocturnal animals have this reflective layer behind their retinas called the tapetum lucidum. It's that creepy eyeshine you see when you point a flashlight at a cat or a raccoon at night. It bounces light back through their photoreceptors, giving them a second chance to capture photons. We don't have that. At all. Even after our eyes fully adapt to darkness, which takes about 30 to 40 minutes by the way, human vision in near total darkness is reduced from 20/20 to about 200/200. That means images are blurry, we lose color perception completely, and we've got this blind spot right in the center of our visual field because there aren't any rods in the fovea, the central part of our retina. So imagine Bob again, walking through the African night. He can barely see 10 feet in front of him. Everything's a blur of shadows and movement. Meanwhile, that leopard stalking him, crystal clear vision, sees him perfectly, can track his every move. No wonder Bob's terrified. But here's where it gets really interesting. Bob's brain is doing something incredibly clever. His amygdala, this little almond-shaped structure deep in his temporal lobe, is going absolutely haywire. And honestly, that's probably why Bob's great-great-great times 100,000 grandchild is you sitting here right now. The amygdala is basically your brain's threat detection system. It processes sensory information and decides safe or dangerous, friend or predator, stay or run. And in darkness, when you can't see clearly, your amygdala makes a very smart evolutionary bet. It assumes the worst. Recent neuroscience research using fMRI scans discovered something fascinating. When humans are exposed to darkness, even just 30 seconds of it, amygdala activity increases significantly. Blood flow to this fear center ramps up. Your brain goes into high alert mode, but flip on a light, even a dim one at just 10 lux, amygdala activity drops. Moderate light at 100 lux suppresses it even more. The researchers found that light doesn't just calm the amygdala, it actually enhances connectivity between the amygdala and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps regulate emotions and tamp down fear responses. In darkness, this communication breaks down. Your rational prefrontal cortex loses its ability to tell your amygdala, "Hey, calm down, that's just a coat rack, not a lurking predator." So in the dark, your amygdala runs the show. Every shadow becomes a potential threat. Every rustle could be something with teeth. And your brain, shaped by millions of years of ancestors who survived by being paranoid, defaults to fear. This is what researchers call preparedness to learn fear. Humans, and actually most mammals, are evolutionarily primed to develop fears of things that posed survival threats to our ancestors. We don't need to be taught to fear darkness, snakes, spiders, or heights. These fears come pre-installed, like factory settings on your brain's operating system. Studies show that children develop fear of darkness around age 2 to 4, right when they're becoming aware of their environment. They haven't been attacked by anything in the dark. They haven't had traumatic experiences, but that fear peaks naturally. Because for millions of years, children who stayed close to their parents at night, children who were appropriately cautious about darkness, had better survival rates than kids who wandered off into the shadows. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that makes sense for early humans, but I live in a city with streetlights and door locks. Why am I still scared? Great question. And the answer is both simple and kind of frustrating. Evolution is slow. Really, really slow. Humans have only been living in artificially lit environments for about 150 years, barely a blip in evolutionary time. For the 99.9% of human history before that, darkness meant danger. That wiring in our brains, that hair-trigger amygdala response, that assumption that something might be watching us. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, modern life might be making things worse in some ways. We're exposed to so little actual darkness now that unfamiliarity breeds fear. Streetlights, nightlights, phone screens. Darkness has become a choice rather than an inevitability. So when we do experience real darkness, a power outage maybe, or camping in a remote area, it feels more threatening than it ever did to our ancestors, who lived with it every single night. Plus, media doesn't help. Horror movies, scary stories, creepy internet content, they all use darkness as a backdrop for terror. We've culturally reinforced the idea that darkness hides monsters, even though we consciously know monsters aren't real. Our rational brain gets it. But our amygdala, It's still stuck in the Pleistocene, scanning for leopards. But here's the beautiful part of this whole story. That fear, that ancient primal wariness of darkness, it's a gift from our ancestors. Every single one of your direct ancestors survived long enough to reproduce. They made it through countless nights on a planet full of predators that wanted to eat them. And they passed down this incredible survival mechanism to you. You're afraid of the dark because your great-great-grandmother, wandering the African savannah, heard a rustle in the bushes and ran instead of investigating. You're afraid because your ancestor, sleeping in a cave, woke up to glowing eyes in the entrance and grabbed his tribe instead of going back to sleep. Fear kept them alive, and their survival means you exist. So the next time you're walking through a dark room and your heart starts pounding, remember, you're not being irrational. You're being exactly what millions of years of evolution designed you to be. Cautious, alert, ready to survive. You're not afraid of darkness itself. You're afraid of not knowing what's hiding in it. And honestly, that's pretty smart. If this made you see your fear of the dark in a whole new light, pun intended, hit that subscribe button for Briefly Science. We're unpacking more counterintuitive science that'll change how you see yourself and the world around you. And hey, drop a comment. Are you still afraid of the dark? Or did understanding the evolutionary reason behind it make that fear a little less scary? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, maybe leave the light on.